Good morning, Saturday moaners. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are we all? Just to, in the spirit of clarity, you may have noticed from the various links and uploads and lives that have been popped on the channel, there is no curly cooks of Croydon this morning. And who have we got to blame for that? Who have we got to blame? Can you guess? Mr. Lee Peart, no less. It's his birthday celebration today, and Nadia is hot-footing it to a beachside resort, maybe in Surrey, and she's going to go and have fun and hijinks with our dear friend Lee Peart in the room. We love you, Lee. Happy birthday for last week. Obviously, it's his birthday celebrations. And what does Lee do better than anyone else? What doesn't Lee do? No, what does Lee do better than anyone else? Sit in remarkable places looking just great. So anyway, as a consequence, there is no curly cooks of Croydon this morning. If you haven't, go and check out Nadia's incredibly funny and sometimes quite moving Nadia Unfiltered. It's her one-take wonder round the debris, detritus and dereliction of our home. Now, between you and me, because I don't think Her Highness will be watching, I thought we could maybe, at first I thought maybe we could do a Nadia Unfiltered in some of her drawers. But I wonder if, without telling her, I should do a Nadia Unfiltered of what's on her makeup desk. Oh, there's so many things there that are so confusing. Anyway, it's just a thought. I don't know if I'll get into trouble. Oh, the Goonies. I've got this terrible sort of pain running sort of diagonally through my chest. I've had a sudden heart attack. You'll know because I'll fall over. Morning, everyone. It's been a very challenging week off camera and behind the scenes. So let's just hurl ourselves into the news. Some of it, obviously, always a little bit serious. But let's just kind of go at it. I want to escape. I want to escape stuff. This channel expires next year. Morning. That's a great name. Why does the channel expire next year? The channel that expires next year. What a curious name. Anyway, good morning to everyone. So let's have a look. Obviously, we've gone through the news today, and the big news is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is suing the Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch over the Epstein report. So I don't know if you saw during the week, the Wall Street Journal published a letter, an alleged birthday note from Donald Trump to Epstein. Here is the note, written in the third person, written as though it was a sort of play, a script almost, with Trump saying at the end there, a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Not great. And apparently, by all accounts, he signed. I'm not too sure if he signed in a Sharpie, but he signed in the area of the paper, which was designed like a naked woman, where the pubic hair would be. That's the allegation. So Donald Trump is suing the bejesus out of the Wall Street Journal. So Rupert Murdoch is asking now, as MeTube says, are we the good guys now? Well, here's a thought. Does anyone, for anyone who's not engaged in American politics, bear with me, we'll move into other news quite quickly. But does anyone else wonder whether, even though I think I'm right in thinking that Trump is suing to the tune of, it's a ludicrous amount of money. I think it's like the lawsuit seeks at least $10 billion in damages. I'm curious to know how they can arrive at that price. How can he value the defamation of character at 10 billion already when the article was only just written? A number of things that spring out of this, possibly. One, if Trump persists in the lawsuit, it could get quite sticky for him if it goes to court, because then he'll have to answer lots more questions about lots more things. So could this have been a bear trap by the Wall Street Journal? Next thought is, what's the likelihood, though, in all reality, of Rupert Murdoch and Donald Trump not having more shared interests in terms of global control, wealth, media control, all this kind of, you know, they're types, aren't they? Has anyone wondered whether this may be the red meat, the distraction? One of the strategies that Donald Trump and his president and his kind of team engage in is something called flooding the zone, don't they? They flood the zone with so many things. The media doesn't know what to hit upon. They hit upon a few things. And because they flooded the zone with so many news stories, very much happened in the first 100 days of his presidency, you know, they can make progress with all these things because it's like whack-a-mole, whack-a-mole, whoa, 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 whoa. Could this be the distraction? Could this be cooked up, in fact, between Donald Trump, Murdoch, that this is just a distraction to give a perception of kind of something happening? Now, Donald Trump at the same time has also instructed, let me find the headline, has also instructed the US Justice Department asks to unseal the grand jury transcripts in the Epstein case. We talked about this briefly yesterday. So we've got him suing the Wall Street Journal. He's seeking the jury transcripts to be released and revealed from the Epstein trial. And I think what must be interesting about that is he must already have had, I reckon he's asking for that, because I think the transcripts will incriminate everyone other than him. And I think this is important. Who thinks that his fan base or the MAGA base, the Make America Great base, are going to be sat down? Do you think I think they wouldn't have voted for Trump if they thought Trump was implicated. So there must be a huge swathes of America and Americans and people in the world who think, yeah, it's wrong that Trump's covering this up, but no, Trump won't be implicated. I mean, I don't know how you arrive at that conclusion, given so many of the things that Trump said, done, photographs, etc., etc. So yeah, so so the feeling is distraction. I think it could be distraction. The Wall Street Journal. If it's not distraction, he needs to be careful, Donald Trump, because this could be the thing that literally pulls apart his presidency. Because a long, arduous court case could become quite ugly. What do you think, guys? Does anyone think this could be a distraction? Just in the meantime, let me show you Donald Trump's rageful Truth Social breaking news. We've just filed a powerhouse, capital letters, lawsuit against everyone. You should have just finished it there. Against everyone involved in publishing the false, malicious, defamatory, fake news article in the useless rag that is the Wall Street Journal. He's not one for kind of exaggeration or hyperbole, is he? This historic, well, it's not historic yet. The historic legal action is being brought against the so-called authors of this defamation, the now fully disgraced, not yet, Wall Street Journal, as well as its corporate owners and affiliates, with Rupert Murdoch and Robert Thompson at the top of the list. I mean, he's already managed to get this guy pulled off air, Steve Colbert, isn't it? The Late Show. We are officially at the pulling comedians off the air who criticize our dear leader phase of fascism. That is where we're at. It's curious, isn't it? Let's pull everyone off air. Let's sue the fuck out of broadcasters, and let's sue newspapers too. What's interesting, says Nora Doyle, is most times the papers settle with a payment, but this time they're saying they will fight all the way, which makes me think they can back up what they've written. Well, Donald Trump needs to be very careful. If they've got this note, look, someone somewhere has got footage, photos, and proof. Haven't they? Haven't they? And if they haven't even got proof in the files, listen to this American, I think he's a Democrat, could be a Republican, I think he's a Democrat. Listen to this guy.
Epstein file details, Mr. President, 4,725 wire transfers. Let me repeat that. 4,725 wire transfers, adding up to nearly $1.1 billion flowing in and out of just one of Mr. Epstein's bank accounts. If you ask me, that is more than 4,000 potential lines of investigation right there. hundreds of millions more flowed through other accounts. That's even a lot more to investigate. The file shows that Mr. Epstein used multiple Russian banks, which are now under sanctions, to process payments related to sex trafficking. A lot of the women and girls he targeted came from Russia, Belarus, Turkey, and elsewhere.
So some people are saying, fuck the Epstein files, fuck the tapes, forget the Polaroids, forget all of that, just follow the money. Where did the money come from? But isn't that interesting that so much of the money flowed through banks that America's already sanctioned Russian banks? Yeah, this guy is good. I've seen him before. What's his name? Let me just, Senator Ron Wyden. There needs to be more leaders in America that have principles and that haven't been compromised or bought out by lobby groups. And I will say it again, and I will say it on every time we talk about Epstein. For me, in my opinion, there is a direct connection between the fraud, the illegality, the rape, the criminality, everything that went on with Epstein and all of these powerful individuals for whom he was procuring young women, children, child abuse. And there is a direct connection between all of the footage and compromising, blackmailing information that Epstein got and Israel's intelligence services. And this speaks to why in the West, even people, I'm not suggesting for a minute that Starmer or anyone in the Labour government is directly compromised at all. But I think they will know from their own intelligence services that if you pull that thread or piece of, that sort of, what do they call it? A sort of thread from a jumper, it could come undone incredibly quickly. The higher echelons and structural kind of integrity of society. And I think that's what we're looking at here. I think that's why so many people are so scared, is that, if you start to actually dig into this, you could uncover one of the biggest hellholes ever. And isn't it interesting that, so many times, so many people who have these kind of opinions, so often people with these opinions are characterized as conspiracy theorists, or when there's no evidence of a cover-up, that's kind of promoted and thrown around everywhere saying there's no cover-up. But as I've said many times before, a successful cover-up will demonstrate that there's no sign of a cover-up. It doesn't, no sign of a cover-up doesn't mean a cover-up hasn't happened. It's a bit of a kind of Schrodinger's cat moment there, but it's true. Oh, there's no evidence of a cover-up. Well, if the cover-up has been very successful, there would be no evidence of a cover-up. It's all very, very murky, very murky. So a lot of the papers are leading with Trump sues Murdoch over Epstein birthday letter. US president denies sending lewd note to disgraced financier and calls it fake. Dangerous. There we have it. His photos of Trump with his dear mate Epstein. There's Donald and Melania Trump with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell in 2000. So yeah, it ain't going to go away, this. And I think Donald Trump has to step very carefully. Very carefully. Someone did make a very strong point there that they don't think MAGA is as analytical. I don't think MAGA is interested in the details. But I think MAGA must have some comprehension that, is Trump going slow on this because he's implicated? So there we go. Just wanted to touch upon Syria. You probably just saw the headline pop up there. I'm just going to pop this up. Just so that you know, Israel has an expansionist policy across the Middle East. You will be hearing lots of stories about Damascus being bombed. You're also going to be hearing lots of stories that sort of propose the idea that Israel is occupying swathes of the Golan Heights part of Syria, is getting involved, is bombing, because they're trying to protect the Druze people, an ethnic group. So, inter-tribal conflict is developing in Syria. Now, basically, the long and the short of it is, Israel has always, their policy isn't just one of bomb, though they do that very, very successfully, unfortunately. Look at Gaza. But their other way of kind of compromising the countries surrounding them is by, you know, funding and supporting splinter groups, purporting to protect the welfare of certain kind of communities that they claim that they're looking after. The problem with this is an identical. What is happening right now, today in Syria, is an almost carbon copy repeat of what Hitler did in the Sudetenland, which was part of Czechoslovakia, when he purported to be looking after the German-speaking Sudetenese and then annexed Czechoslovakia. That's what's happening in Syria. Syria is being, basically, I mean, and Israel isn't the only country doing this. Various powerful countries, Turkey, Syria, Saudi Arabia, are seeking to compromise the integrity of Syria. But Israel do not buy the idea from that tyrannical tyrant, tyrannical teenager, Benjamin Netanyahu, that they're somehow in Syria for the better good of anyone else. They're not. This is the greater Israel mission. They are looking for land grabs. They are being given cover by the West to do this. Once again, our government says nothing. I begin to wonder whether our government even understands or has even made a comment about Syria. So be mindful when you read into this. If you read the Telegraph, the Times, any of the right-wing leaning, government-supporting, Israeli, Zionist backing papers, they will be telling you that what Israel's trying to do in Syria is civilize this kind of uncivilized situation. And that's not to say it's not an uncivilized situation, but it's an uncivilized situation that has been agitated and prodded profoundly by America and Israel. So be mindful, be careful when you read those stories. I mean, it's obviously, you know, I mean, we've got Bedouin tribes that are being massacred. We've got Druze who are also being massacred, but are also saying we don't need Israel to look after us. But of course, Israel is throwing out all these videos of certain members of the Druze communities cheering the Israeli army coming in as if they're a kind of liberating force. So be mindful. And of course, we've got this huge contradiction at the helm of the country where the leader, I think, is still the essential head of a prescribed terrorist organization. And I think they've now removed that prescription of the terrorist organization. Our government has said that the former head of Al-Qaeda is no longer a terrorist, whereas 83-year-old priests, retired priests, holding up placards, that's the lunacy. Keir Starmer is one of the most unforgivably dishonest, disingenuous, heartless individuals I've ever come across. I saw him in Prime Minister's Questions last week or the week before, and there was an impassioned kind of speech by one of the Asian MPs talking about the fate in Palestine. And there is a cold, sinister now impassivity to Keir Starmer. He is touched by nothing. He is moved by nothing. And yes, we've all seen the clips that have been running around talking about how he's got family in Israel. And he's, you know, to have family in Israel doesn't make you bad. Of course not. But this guy is clearly demonstrating to us that he is a Zionist through and through. Appalling man, an absolutely appalling man, a shameful individual, as shameful as Tony Blair. Tony Blair, shameful individual too. So yeah, don't be spun a lie by the Syrian story. And of course, we've got the Afghan Heroes, a little Telegraph giving us this story. Afghan Heroes, after the data leak, left behind while bogus asylum seekers flock to Britain. So of course, you know, if you fought for our army, you're a hero. If you're a victim of a country that's been decimated by the West's imperial expansionism, you're not. And of course, this is something that needed to be dealt with. These are translators. These are Afghani civilians who have worked with the British Army, American Army, who in this data leak were severely compromised. And, you know, all sorts of, it's a very sort of complex story. It's all sorts of super injunctions. The Tories were trying to hide the cost of, you know, repatriating Afghani translators, etc. At the end of the day, if we keep going into foreign countries, we have a burden of responsibility, not for just what happens in those countries, but for those who then seek asylum with us. And I just thought it was telling that the Telegraph still drawing that distinction between Afghan heroes, but we can acknowledge that there are Afghan heroes, but let's remind people of the bogus asylum seekers too. It's just how to recognize, an egregious kind of humanitarian mistake for these translators, and at the same time double down on your messaging. Now, moving out of he did state that, Giuliana Scialanga. Let me just have a sip of my coffee. Winding people up, Steph Schultz. Dear heart. Tony Blair, don't have a big feeling about his wife, just him. Oh, God, that's bitter. Me too. The Tories only intended to help 200 out of the 18,000 Afghans that helped the UK military. You know, what needs to be said about this? So I was listening to, is it John Healey, our defence minister, who was on the radio the other day, the cost of the repatriation of many of these translators. And what you've got to understand is these are translators who worked with the American and British Army, principally the British Army, and who obviously, when we all withdrew from there, become targets for the Taliban, because they're basically people who've, they've collaborated with the enemy. And this big data breach revealed all of the identities, etc. When we go to war, no one tells us about these details, do they? When they say, oh, let's invade Iran or regime change, no one tells us, well, actually, in doing that, there are all these hidden costs. What happens is the hidden costs land and just everyone gets cross about it. But actually, this is why many people who aren't woke or aren't kind of, lily-livered, when they say, I don't know if we should get involved in this, it's because we can see the cost of it. And to be honest with you, in America, people like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, lots of people are beginning to say, well, actually, hang on a minute. Israel is costing us a fortune. And in fact, on that note, listen to this.
Israel cannot exist without being propped up by the United States. You think so? Its nuclear program came from the United States. Its weapons come from the United States. Its economy is supported by the United States. I'm not attacking Israel. I'm just saying in point of fact, I think that's true. And I mean, Israel thinks it's true, or they wouldn't have armies of lobbyists and influencers in the United States. Bibi wouldn't have shown up twice in the past 3 months.
Any country, if there is any country out there that fundamentally cannot exist without being subsidized by American taxpayers, then not only should that country not exist, but that country already does not exist. It's not really.
That's interesting.
It's not
really a country. It's not really a country. Did you see that? Hear that? It's not really a country. If they're so dependent on is Israel as a going concern does it have functionality without being entirely propped up by America? I don't think it does. I don't think it can function. So when we go into all these other countries, bombing, regime changing, all the rest of it, we need to bear in mind it comes with responsibilities, such as these translators. Okay, moving on to lighter stories. Let me just jig my. Now, this story has captured a lot of people's imagination, because there's not a lot you have to imagine. This is the couple that were caught at the Coldplay concert. Company says investigation underway into footage of couple at Coldplay gig. So the CEO and the head of human resources at this company are now being investigated. How a cuddle at a Coldplay concert brought chaos to a marriage and a £1 billion company. What are your feelings on this? The CEO has been suspended. This is Andy Byron, chief executive of a company called Astronomer. He's on the Jumbotron screen alongside Kristen Cabot, head of HR. This is the moment that obviously lead singer of Coldplay, Chris Martin, innocently enough, sort of saying, oh no, what have we done wrong? Let me show you the full clip.
All right, come on. You okay? What? Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy. I'm not quite sure what to do. Can we rub on you? Okay, all right.
The bit in that, I'm going to play it again, but look at the guys in the banana outfits at the end. That's the bit that kind of entertains me.
Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy. I'm not quite sure what to do. Did we rope on you? Okay, right.
It's the innocent kind of gibbering and jumping around of the bananas. I don't know why. I don't know why. There's something about this. There's something about this that just. Now, I know from years ago, and this isn't what kind of, you know. I had my own experience of I was silly, I was naughty. A photo was taken. It wasn't published in the end, but it was taken by a paparazzi and it was sent to the office and all this kind of stuff. So I got caught up in something not entirely dissimilar to this. Have they, look, of course, all of our thoughts go out to their family members, obviously. But given the fact, and this is obviously their LinkedIn photo. This is the CEO and this is her. The company Astronomer launches formal investigation as tech CEO Andy Byron and HR chief are put on leave after Coldplay. Okay, let's just pause for a second. It's not good to have affairs. It's not right. People get hurt. This is terribly unfortunate. Have the fact that they've been put on leave, they've been suspended. What do you think? Have VIP booths with polarized glasses, Michu? I mean, they clearly weren't expecting. I mean, the speed with which they released the clinch.
All right, come on. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on.
I mean, if you know it's that sensitive, you don't stand at a gig like that, do you? And there's no way you can say, once you've tried to dive out of the clinch in that fashion, there's no way you can pretend to either partner, her or he, that it wasn't what it looked like, because you'd be like, well, why did you dive out of shot? It's a bad one, isn't it? Talk about being caught out. Talk about being caught out. In other kind of news, just moving through the other kneecap, I just wanted to talk about this. I mentioned it on my Instagram yesterday. This drives me fucking insane. Sorry. So Avon and Somerset police find no reason to charge them. Avon and Somerset police said they would be taking no more action. Right. So they're probably taking no more action because there is no crime that's been committed. But because no crime has been committed, the Telegraph have to keep saying two-tier justice, which is weird because that means what you're suggesting is the police should act illegally and prosecute when there's no cause for prosecution. Do you get me? Shadow Home Secretary hits out after police say they will take no. Yeah, but the Shadow Home Secretary doesn't know exactly what they were so apparently being potentially charged for. And if they were found to be innocent, what's happened to due process when it works? It's astonishing, isn't it? Two-tier. It's only ever two-tier when it doesn't suit the outcome you want. Whenever it doesn't suit your outcome, then you scream the Telegraph, the Mail. You scream two-tier injustice. If you want two-tier injustice, look at what's happening to the Gazans in this genocide, whilst Israel and Netanyahu is massaged, oiled, thrown billions of dollars. You've got the biggest two-tier injustice on the planet, a genocide happening now, still, continually, with absolutely no one in the West calling it out. It makes me fucking insane, that. This is the Air India story. Do you remember the catastrophic crash that happened? It's a couple of weeks ago now, isn't it? Well, a lot of the papers are covering the story of the pilot Sumit Sabharwal. Let me pull up his image again. The suggestion being this gentle soul, believed to have cut doomed Air India flight's fuel supplies. Colleagues remember a dedicated pilot who showed few signs of reported mental health struggles. This was I don't know if you saw when the audio from the black box included audio of the co-pilot saying to him, "Why have you cut the power?" I think he cut the fuel to the engines. He must have actively hit a switch, and he says he didn't. But seems to be the suggestion that maybe he, although he didn't demonstrate his depression, that perhaps he was struggling. Air India pilot's final words as he left home on day of plane crash that killed 260 after he turned off fuel switches. As it's revealed, he was struggling following his mother's death. Sad, isn't it? And these are the images of the awful crash that happened. Just ghastly. And again, it just makes you think. Again, you sort of think, God Almighty, you know, pilots. How can you? Maybe he didn't go to work thinking he was gonna kill everyone, but maybe he'd done the switch as a flirtation. Maybe it was a kind of, I don't know. Maybe it's that, you know, one can entertain a thought but not do it. Maybe he entertained a thought and didn't think it would actually result in something catastrophic. So there's the suggestion that yes, absolutely, Tony Loza, that he may have done this on purpose. In lighter news, end of COVID disaster movie as cinemas bounce back. This is good news. Apparently the movie business is on the upturn. A number of big hitters this year, pouring with rain here. A number of big hitters, Jurassic Park, Minecraft, all these films are good for the box office. You could argue, well, what is that good for indie cinema and meaningful films rather than all these derivative mainstream box office hits? Yes, because you need these big tentpole hits, as they say, in order to kind of carry smaller projects. But this is the story that, we are now finally coming out of the overhang of COVID as cinemas begin to bounce back. The cinema strikes back. This is box office. 2022, 2023, it was going down. And then this year, it's already gone past 2022 in terms of the UK and Irish box office. Highest grossing films in the first half of 2025, a Minecraft movie, Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy, Lilo and Stitch, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, Captain America. That was a bit of a clusterfuck. Amazing that they're on there because they didn't really add much to the box office at all. There's Bridget Jones. I mean, we enjoyed Bridget Jones, but I know I'm on my own with this. I don't wish to be cancelled for saying I find Renée Zellweger deeply irritating as Bridget Jones. But it was such a good film. Even that didn't get in the way. There's Minecraft, Jason Momoa looking extraordinarily bizarre. This is I'm going to move on from that one. Moving through to this story is just awful. Hospital tragedy. If anyone has seen, and I'm not making light of this story, this is a story in America. Has anyone seen the Final Destination films? Well, the latest one, there's this awful scene where a number of deaths occur due to the extraordinary magnetic pull of the MRI machine in a hospital. It's hideous. It's hideous to watch. This has happened. Man dies after being sucked into MRI scanning machine while wearing a large metal necklace. A man has died. 61-year-old man suffered catastrophic injuries while a scan was taking place on someone else. Apparently, he walked into the MRI room at the Nassau Open in New York, in Long Island. And because he was wearing a large metallic chain around his neck, it literally, the eyewitness said, his chain turned into a torpedo. He was pulled off his feet and he was dragged into the MRI scanner, resulting in what's been described as a medical episode, and he died the next day. Fucking hell. I mean, and the reason that story stood out was only because I'd seen Final Destination. I thought, my God, are MRI scanners that strong? And yes, they are. They really are. It's pulled in and killed. Just awful. Now, this next headline I pulled because it just struck me as, fuck me. What kind of journalism is this? Prepare yourselves for possibly the most earth-shattering headline to have landed this weekend. You ready? Sir Cliff Richard, 84, says he might be dead next year as he reveals plan to quit touring. Couldn't we all? Sir Cliff Richard, 84, says he might be dead next year as he reveals plans to quit touring. I just couldn't quite wrap my head around that. There he is, looking nearly 84. Still wearing his leather trousers, though. I don't know. I think there needs to be, and Nadia would say, you shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. I think over a certain age, it should be illegal to wear leather trousers. Personally, I'd be fine with that if at the age of 80 I had a desperate need to wear leather and someone said, you know what, Dad, Mark, stop it. I'd be like, okay, fair dues. I think it's too much. It's too much. Too much. Life-threatening thunderstorms to cause chaos with warnings of watery hidden menace. It can't just rain in this country, can it? I mean, to be fair, it has not stopped raining, but the watery hidden menace. I could rue the day I said that. So let's just maybe move on from that. And finally, in the Daily Star, UK's largest sex fest, Swingathon. I've just worked it out. That's where Nadia's going. No, she didn't invite me. UK's largest sex fest, Swingathon, as thousands of kinky couples descend on tiny village. Oh my God. She didn't invite me. No, but anyway, what struck me as funny about this story is I'm now going to show you some of the images. And I can tell you now, if this is an advert for swinging, it's about as erotic and suggestive as a prune. Check this out. Kinky punters can act out their fantasies. Good God. This is a sign advertising the festival. The Allington Car Boot Sundays font is more suggestive than just Arrow Festival this way. It's a rum deal, isn't it? It's a rum deal. That doesn't look good. And finally, I'm going to go through some photos for you. Got some lovely photos here of, look at that, feeding a shark. See if I can remember what some of these are about. Look at that astonishing image. That's a mural of Sawalha-Adderleys, isn't it? That's a mural. Isn't that remarkable? It's just appeared. Oh, baby piglets. So sweet. Isn't it a shame that we were just, oh, anyway, I won't say it. I love this wall. I love that. It's a great photo, isn't it? Mural of Mandela. Those are tomatoes being dried in the sun in Turkey. If you wonder where your sun-dried tomatoes come from, could be there. And these people, I think they're in Thailand, are harvesting water chestnuts. Beautiful image, isn't it? No, beautiful image. And this is the Kansas something or other baseball team. Remarkable sky. I think that's just the camera sensor kind of turning it that color. I don't think there was a storm necessary. Anyway, there you go, guys. As I say, there was no curly cooks. Keep your comments landing. Keep sharing your thoughts on some of the stories. Something else will be landing on the channel later. Got a couple of movie reviews coming. Have a lovely day, guys. And be careful in the weather. Be careful. I mean, it really is actually quite watery menacing.